Hey everybody, Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. We have another edition of our concert review specials. Today we're going to be talking about last night's show at the Chance Theater in Poughkeepsie, New York, September the 11th. Kind of a strange day to be going to a concert, but you know, the artist who was playing at the Chance made it very, very memorable indeed. I'm talking about Glenn Hughes and his band doing their Deep Purple tour. Okay, they've basically been touring all over the place in recent months. Glenn was talking last night about how this is going to be basically a 2-year-long trek across the globe, bringing favorites that Glenn performed on during the Deep Purple Mark III lineup. So, of course, we're talking about Burn, Stormbringer, and Come Taste the Band, plus a couple other tidbits, which we'll get to momentarily. So, a really good show. Not crazy attended. I was kind of expecting more folks to be there, but he's playing a bunch of shows in the New York metropolitan area. So he played New York City recently. He's playing Tarrytown, New York, I believe next week, and then last night was the show in Poughkeepsie. So roughly, I don't know, somewhere between 150, 200 people showed up. Not a hugely attended event, but a good crowd, very vocal crowd, which was kind of nice. He had on board with him on lead guitar Jeff Coleman. Don't remember the other two members of the band on keyboards and drums, but Jeff Coleman, who of course you know from Cosmo Squad as well as Mogwai, very, very talented player. Fill in Richie Blackmore and Tommy Bolin's shoes on this tour. Mr. Hughes in fine form. So the great thing about this particular show, it started at 8 o'clock or roughly a couple minutes after 8. No opening act, which was great. So it's just all Glenn Hughes and Deep Purple music for roughly an hour and 40 minutes. Perfect for all those older guys who want to get home kind of early because we got to work the next day, or maybe because we have a hard time staying up. This is the perfect thing. So beforehand, went to the Blue Collar Brewery, not too far from the Chance Theater. Nice little brewery, some really good beers, good company, good tasting food. Great way to start off the evening. Went to the Chance, started pretty much on time. Glenn and the band came rousing out to a mighty applause, kicked off with a great version of Stormbringer, of course the title track of the Stormbringer album. Very, very cool, very heavy, very raucous, and Mr. Hughes showing himself to be in fine vocal performance. Okay, man, this guy, I think he's like 67 years old, if I'm not mistaken. The voice of rock gets better with age, I'm telling you. Unbelievable. From there, he launched into Might Just Take Your Life. Very, very cool tune. Again, not one. What's really great about this tour is you get to hear these songs that where else are you going to hear them other than, you playing them out of your, library, your collection. Who's playing this stuff live? Nobody. Deep Purple doesn't play any of these songs, right? Because this is all from the Coverdale Hughes version of the band. So someone's got to do it. Whitesnake did a lot of these tunes a couple years ago on the Purple Tour. So now here we have those and maybe some different ones being played by Hughes and his band. So after Might Just Take Your Life, they launched into Sail Away. Very cool, emotional take on that with a ton of groove. I can't stress enough just how amazing a bass player Glenn Hughes is. He's normally known for his vocal talents, but man, this guy can flat out play bass. I mean, he's got those funky grooves, and he's nimble as all hell. He can do all the complex stuff. Just amazing the amount of stuff that he was adding to the Sail Away tune. Okay, from there, we launched into a pretty cool keyboard solo. All right, if you're a fan of John Lord, obviously, and again, I apologize that I don't have his name, but he's a great player. And then that moved in with a little bit of drum action going on, and of course, You Fool No One. Great extended version of You Fool No One with additional keyboard solos. The guy had the Hammond organ out, and of course, Jeff Coleman launched into this extended guitar solo, a la Richie Blackmore doing it off the Made in Europe album, as many of you will remember. So, did a little bit of blues, little hints of Highball Shooter, okay, which was kind of neat. They threw in there. And then that eventually moved into the You Keep On Moving tune. Great, great song. Great song. Probably, for me, perhaps the highlight of the night. It was emotional, and Glenn delivered these gut-wrenching emotional vocals. Just great, great stuff. Then, and Glenn did a lot of talking between songs during the night. He was talking about, 9/11 and all that kind of stuff. But he also mentioned Tommy Bolin, talked about how close he and Tommy were and what a tragedy that Tommy died so young and how he, Tommy's still close to him to this day. He's always thinking about him. They launched into Getting Tighter off the Come Taste the Band album, which was great. funky as hell, right? Some great guitar licks from Coleman. Really good tune. Then we moved into Mistreated, which was pretty neat. Of course, everybody loves Mistreated. Great vocals, a lot of guitar solos. I will say I missed Coverdale on Mistreated last night. As great as Hughes is, that's a song that Coverdale always nails. And I kind of was wanting to hear him there. So, but still really good. What was really kind of weird is that last night at some point between one of the songs, Glenn was talking about how, the tour and how, Deep Purple is also out there right now, and a lot of us just saw them recently, and how Purple is playing all the classic, Mark II era stuff. And he's like, we're not going to play any of those songs. We're doing all the stuff from when I was in the band, right? And then he comes out and plays Smoke on the Water and Highway Star, which, quite frankly, I didn't need to hear last night. Because those are Ian Gillan songs, okay? Glenn, I know, played on them live when he was in the band back in the day, but he never recorded on those. So I thought that was a really kind of bizarre thing for them to do. But granted, both were great, but I would have rather heard like The Gypsy, Lady Double Dealer, any number of songs from those three albums that he appeared on, as opposed to Smoke on the Water and Highway Star. Interesting, at the end of Smoke on the Water, they also threw in that little Georgia on My Mind, little gospel blues thing that Glenn did back in the day during the Mark III tours. He would always do that at the end of Smoke. Kind of interesting. And then, of course, to end it all, we've got a barn burner version of Burn, which was quite ripping, quite happening. And, after the whole show lasted, like I said, about an hour and 40 minutes, Glenn still screaming up a storm, which was kind of great to see. I mean, this guy's just amazing what he can do vocally, as well as with the bass. Just really good stuff. The band was tight, really, really good, well-rehearsed. There was a good amount of improvisation going on in between some of the songs. The sound was decent. Depends on, the chances kind of hit or miss. Depends on where you're standing. I was actually down right in front for about maybe 60% of the show and couldn't hear Coleman too well. Glenn, you can kind of hear a lot of bass, a lot of drums. But then I moved towards the back, center stage, all the way back by the bar, and now it was perfect. You could hear everybody. So it's like in a small venue like this, you kind of struggle with, do I go down front to be right up close to the band to inferior sound, or do I stand back so I can see them all perfectly and get a much more richer, well-balanced sound? That's what most people struggle with. But anyway, a great night. Saw a bunch of friends there, which was kind of good to see. Wish there were more showing up, but a great set of classic Mark III era Deep Purple and a couple Mark II era. So in the last week, I've gotten to see Deep Purple proper and Glenn Hughes. So lots of Purple music, which is great because they're my favorite band of all time. So this is Pete Pardo. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here fairly often on the mighty YouTube. So stay tuned. Got lots of great shows coming up. Next week, we're going to be hopefully taping that History of Judas Priest show. I got the Gillan History of show coming up. I'm going to do a Gentle Giant History of show. We've got the top fusion albums of the 70s show that I'm hoping to do before the end of this week, as well as some new product stuff that we got coming on too. And I got a couple rants that I'm cooking up. So till then, stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Tell all your friends. Keep watching. Go back in the library. We got tons of videos. Watch it all. And we'll see you next time, guys. Take care. Bye.